So before I begin, I want to make a confession. My name is Sindusa, and I'm a chronic daydreamer. So 2 years ago, during my first year at McMaster University, I came to McMaster with these hopes and dreams of being a social butterfly. I dreamt about being this ace student who was excelling in all of her classes. But instead, I was actually this wallflower hibernating in my room, disconnected with the outside world, living in my dreams, dreaming about what I wanted to be instead of studying for the upcoming exam. So I was living more in my dreams rather than living my dreams. And what I want to talk about with you today is this disease that not just me, but we all happen to have, this disease of daydreaming ourselves to failure. We all have dreams and goals that we want to accomplish sometime in our life. And until we reach them, we often engage ourselves in fantasies about this desired future. So what I want you to all do right now is actually take a few seconds to close your eyes, and I want you to picture that biggest personal goal you have. I want you to imagine actually achieving that goal. It feels great, right? You feel like you can already taste the success. You feel like you've already one step closer to achieving that dream. But I have bad news for you. You have just decreased the likeliness of you achieving that dream compared to 7 seconds ago, just by visualizing it. And what you just experienced is this idea that psychologists call the pitfall of positive fantasies. And positive fantasies is just a simple term that describes the daydreams that we had that escapes the realms of present reality. These are ideals that we focus on of a desired future. It can be about dreaming about the attainment of a certain outcome, or it can even be about the imagination of a smooth process towards achieving that outcome. It can be about something in the distant future, such as dreaming about being an OR surgeon, or it could be something more immediate, such as those upcoming finals that we have. It could be about something such as weight loss, or it could even be about that special someone that you happen to have a crush on. But simply dreaming about that person that you have a crush on actually decreases your likelihood of approaching them in reality. And in fact, the more positive, more frequent your actual dreams, the smaller your chances are of success. And this actually comes from a study that they did on graduate students, and they asked them to write down their free thoughts and images about their future that they envision in professional lives. They asked them to write it down and to kind of note down the frequency of these thoughts. And then 2 years later, when they contacted these individuals, they actually found that those that entertained these positive fantasies actually had fewer job offers, on average earned a lot less, and even applied to fewer jobs. And this indicated a lack of effort. But this goes against conventional wisdom and even the mountain of self-help literature out there. Not so long ago, I actually encountered this self-help book that was called Daring to Dream. And in this book, they actually outlined this exercise that we just did. They talked about this idea of dreaming your dreams into reality, and how by simply dreaming yourself achieving this goal, you're actually halfway there to already achieving it. And it sounds so great and so alluring. But think about it. Think about all those positive fantasies that you actually have. How many of those have you actually achieved? Probably haven't achieved many of them. And this partly comes from the fact that when we engage in these positive fantasies, we don't question ourselves whether these fantasies are actually attainable, if they're achievable. We don't consider the path may actually have obstacles. They may have setbacks. They may have pain, and God forbid, we need to put effort into achieving these dreams. Positive fantasies, they seduce us into this perfect futuristic vision of having the success and having the satisfaction without undergoing all the hardships. And part of this comes from the fact that by engaging these positive fantasies, you actually dampen your motivation and your future effort to actually work towards this. Think about it. What's your positive fantasy of what a weight loss would actually look like? Perhaps it's a picture of something like this. You imagine your beautiful transformation between your before and after. But in reality, how many of us actually think about waking up before sunrise and working out in the cold winter? How many of us think about all that nasty sweat and that aching stomach cramp that we have? As a result, most of us actually end up being couch potatoes, sitting there, lacking motivation and lacking effort to actually get up off the couch and actually go and work out. And not surprisingly, this is exactly what psychologists found in this experimentally induced positive fantasies with weight loss. And psychologists believe that this motivation, lack of effort, comes from the fact that we lose this energy. And interestingly, they were actually able to show in a study that there's this loss of energy, not just subjectively, but also physiologically. And so what they found was that they asked students who had positive fantasies, not only did they not accomplish what they wanted to do, they also had they felt low energy. They said they were less enthusiastic, they were less active, as well as they had a decrease in systolic blood pressure. And this wasn't seen in any of the other groups. This wasn't seen in neutral positive fantasies, or it wasn't seen in expectations. And what this really indicates is that positive fantasies just suck the energy right out of us. And this just dampens our motivation and our future effort. And part of this just comes from the fact that we have this limited attentional capacity. When you're so focused and you're so engulfed in this positive fantasy that you have, you focus all your attention on that, and you lack the attentional resources to actually put those things into effort and put on all that effort and make that true fantasy real in what you need to do in reality. But as gloomy as this all sounds, you can overcome this. You can change this. And this all comes down to engaging in something I'd like to call mental contrasting. So you take your positive fantasies, but you also contrast that with your negative present reality. And this kind of enlightens and tells you what you need to actually do, what's in your way that you need to overcome in order to achieve that future fantasy. So say my positive fantasy is that I want to be a senior partner at a law firm. I need to contrast that with my present reality of just being an intern, working in a cubicle with a fake law degree. It's sad, but it's true. I need to be able to actually envision my reality and also envision the setbacks and the obstacles that are in my way to achieve this reality. So in my example, I need to envision pulling all-nighters and studying for those LSATs. I need to prepare for the possibility that I might actually fail my interview at Harvard Law School. And the important thing is that I'm not just focusing on my present reality either, because dwelling in your present reality doesn't promote change either. But should positive fantasies be avoided in totality? I would say no. Positive fantasies can actually evolutionarily prove adaptive. Think about it. Say you're a starving student and there's no food, there's no water. What do? It could actually be adaptive to imagine that burger because it actually conserves your energy. It lowers your energy to prolong you further to survive. Or perhaps something's giving you a lot of anxiety and you're really nervous about that upcoming exam. Perhaps positively fantasizing about that upcoming trip to the Bahamas actually reduces your anxiety. But in the end, if a fantasy means a lot to you and you really want to achieve that dream, don't just have your head floating up in the clouds. Think about the reality, contrast that, engage in mental contrasting. Think about the effort that you need to put. Think about all those obstacles that you have in your way to achieving that fantasy. Although you may not actually get the high from your fantasies, you may actually accomplish a whole lot more. Thank you.